So we have covered quite a lot of things in the past few weeks, but I think the important thing for you to understand is that all the topics that we are discussing are connected together because this is the basis knowledge that you need to understand management information systems as a whole. So today we are focusing on the legal and ethical issues of information systems. I think this is chapter 4 in your MIS book. For those who are new, we'll just go through our rules of engagement once again. So I'll ask you to please switch off your video and mute your microphone. And if you want to ask a question or to make a comment, feel free to raise your hand, or you can put your questions here in the chat. I'm going to ask you guys to please complete the attendance register. I'm putting the link here in the chat, and also the evaluation form at the end. But most importantly, I want you guys to feel free to participate, ask questions if you need to, and it is a safe environment. So let's make it interactive. If you have any technical issues, you just need to send an email to this City and TAT email address. Then they will be able to help you with any technical queries. So let's start with the register, please. If you can just click on that link and go complete it quickly while we get started. Okay, thank you. So if you think back from the beginning, what we've been talking about with regards to information systems, we said that the main function of the management information system is to collect, to organize, to store, and to analyze the data. So all of these topics that we've discussed, they are related to these four main functions of the MIS. We have gone through quite a few examples that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. And last week we spoke about data and business intelligence. That relates more to the function of analyzing the data for management decision making. So that is where we are now. So the next topic is the issue of legal and ethical issues. So that is what we're talking about today. The outcomes for today's session is just to describe the information technologies that could be used in computer crimes, discuss information privacy and methods for improving and the privacy of information, and to explain the general data protection regulation. So these are the basic outcomes of what you need to know, but you should still go back and read in detail what is required in your curriculum. So I'm sure many of you have heard by now, or maybe you have even experienced it yourself personally, the different risks associated with using information technologies. In today's world, everything that we're doing is online. And although it makes life very easy because you can access anything at the click of a button, there are a lot of risks associated with the use of information technologies. So the misuse includes invading of users' privacy and different computer crimes that are done online. If you have some examples, you can just put them in the chat for me, then we can talk about it. And then we have what is called phishing, which is basically sending of fraudulent emails that seem to come from legitimate sources. So this type of email will look similar maybe to a company that you know or you do business with, but maybe the logo looks a little bit different, or the type of language that is used in that email, you will notice that it is not um, professional business English language that is used. So that is how you can be able to tell if it is a phishing email or not. And these type of emails are sent to recipients, usually with a link where a user can click on and it goes to a false website. And that is how they use that type of email to capture users' information. So they can steal private information by just sending out these emails, which looks like it is from legitimate sources. So let's say maybe you get an email from um, someone pretending, you don't know that they're pretending, but they say that they are from SARS, and they put a link for you to click on, and you must go and fill in your information. So already that should be a red flag that this is not how SARS interacts with their clients. So you should not be putting any personal information. But I think the rule of thumb is never click on any links if you're not sure uh, where it comes from. That is the general rule of thumb, so that you can protect yourself from phishing. Then how do we minimize or prevent these risks associated with information technologies? So installing operating system updates regularly. So if you are using a Windows device or you are on an Android device, you will usually get a pop-up message to say the updates or your device needs an update. Then you must install that update. So by doing that, you are protecting yourself against these risks. You can also use antivirus software. It's important that you have a reliable antivirus software on your device, whatever device that you are using. And then using email security features. You can set rules on your whatever email software that you're using, whether it is Outlook or any other. You can set rules to say if it is email coming from unknown sources, it must go to spam or it must go to junk mail. Rules like that will also uh, protect from information being stolen. So that is how we can minimize or prevent these risks. Do you guys have any ideas on how you can protect yourself personally as an individual against cybercrime or phishing or any of the risks that are associated with using computer technologies? As an individual, how do you protect yourself? Okay, one of the most common security feature that is being used these days is the two-factor authentication. So this adds a second layer as a way to verify that the user is the right owner of the account. So let's say now you logged into Microsoft 365 and you need to verify yourself either by SMS, you receive a verification code via SMS or using the Authenticator app. That is just another example. I see Google is also doing that these days. They have two-factor authentication. So that is a way that you can protect yourself. So you need to make sure that on your accounts you have that two-factor authentication activated. Another way you can protect yourself is using strong passwords. Passwords that are not easy for someone to guess. So don't use your birthday or your first name as your password, and avoid using the same password across different sites. I think that is the mistake most people make, because we only want to remember one password, then we use that same password across different sites. So to protect yourself, you need to generate unique and strong passwords. So some sites will usually tell you that your password must have an uppercase, lowercase, it must include numbers and special characters, something that you can remember. Okay. Emma Tlala is saying, I am not receiving audio on my end. Tapelo, just now you said you could hear me. Can you please just confirm, Tapelo, that you can hear the audio? Anyone else who's having the same issue? Okay, guys, who else is having the sound issue? Okay, Tapelo says he can hear me loud and clear. So then it means the issue is on your side. Okay, thank you, Susiso. So then Emma Tlala, then if you can just leave the meeting and join again, because the sound issue is on your side, please. Okay, it's sorted. Thank you. Great. So I was talking about some of the ways that you can protect yourself as an individual against cybercrime. I spoke about the two-factor authentication and using strong and unique passwords. And then the important one is to be cautious of emails with links or messages with links. Don't click on any suspicious links or any attachments that you don't know where they are coming from. And also verify the sender's email address before you click on anything to be sure that this is actually coming from um, your bank or from whoever sent you the email is actually the valid email address. Then we spoke about security antivirus software that you can also install to protect yourself. Um, with regards to banking crime, I think it is also important to make sure that you check activities on your banking profiles regularly to monitor any unauthorized activity. Usually, um, the bank will alert you if something suspicious seems to be going on, but we know that cyber criminals are always changing their tactics. So you also need to make sure that you monitor your account. We've heard of many people that have been scammed online and money taken from their bank accounts, and the bank did not pick it up. So things like that, we need to take personal responsibility to protect ourselves. Also, avoiding public Wi-Fi when you're doing sensitive transactions, because then your information is out there for anyone who wants it. So avoid using public Wi-Fi for sensitive online transactions, and then limit how much you share online. Sharing of personal information on social media. Be mindful of what you're sharing, because we know that there are people on social media who are just looking for easy targets that can result in identity theft. I'm sure you've also heard of people whose identity was stolen online and being hacked, and someone pretending to be you. So these are all things that we can do as individual to protect ourselves. So it's important to limit the personal information that you post online, what you are sharing on social media, because um, oversharing your personal details is exposing uh, yourself to online criminals. So just have that in mind before you post something. Um, Pause and think: am I sharing personal details here that can open me up for identity theft? So those are some of the things that you can do to minimize or to prevent those risks associated with information technologies. Okay, then we have the topic of cookies. I'm sure you've all heard about this. It is not a cookie that we eat, but cookies refers to small files that a website store on your device, whether it's on your computer or on your phone. So when you visit a website, it stores cookies on your device. This is used to remember information about you and how you interacted with them, with that site. So cookies are temporary. You can set your browser to delete cookies every time you close the browser, and you can go and manually clear cookies in your browser settings, whichever web browser that you're using there. So, but these days you will see that most websites, when you open them, they will have a disclaimer to say this website uses cookies. Then you must accept or decline. So that is something that you need to uh, take into account. I know most of us, we don't even read that pop-up message. We just say accept all and continue because we want to get on with what we want to do. But that is a way to protect you. So it's important to understand what cookies are and how they are used. Yes, they are used to improve your user experience when interacting with um, a specific website. So let's say, for example, you are on the Amazon website trying to buy something, or you're browsing certain products, then you add them to the cart. So cookies are used to to remember what you did on the website. So the next time you open that website, even though you didn't check out the cart, you will see that the items that you had added to the cart, they're still there. So cookies are useful for that. However, they are also they can be used to track your activities by unauthorized um, individuals. So that is why it's important to clear your cookies and delete any temporary internet browsing files from your browser. You need to make this an automated process so that you can protect yourself. So cookies are also used for advertising. You've probably um, noticed that there are certain ads that come to you because of your browsing history. Even on YouTube, for example, depending on the type of content you're watching, then they will push more videos to you and the type of adverts. So that is how cookies are used. But for our purposes, we need to know what they are. They are small text files with a unique ID tag embedded in a web browser, saved on the user's hard drive. So it is actually saved on your device. It can be useful for the things that I've mentioned, um, to make the user experience more personalized to you or customized, but it can also be intrusive because even other criminals can use the cookies to get your information. Many users disable cookies by installing a cookie manager or using web browser options. So if you go to your web browser uh, settings, you will see probably there is a checkbox to say enable cookies where you can check it yes or no, something like that. Then we also have the concept of sniffing, which is capturing or recording network traffic, often used by hackers to intercept information. So you will not be able to know if sniffing is happening because it is done in the background by hackers. You won't be able to know that. As compared to cookies, you can easily go and clear your cookies. Then we also have the concept of spoofing, which is an attempt to gain access to a network by posing as an authorized user to find sensitive information. So let's say you are an employee of a certain company, then someone gets a hold of your user ID and password. Then they use your credentials to access the network, and then they can access sensitive information. So that is called spoofing. Do you guys have any questions or comments up to here? Okay, if there are no comments, can you name other examples of cybercrime? Maybe something that you have heard of or something you encountered. You can just please put your examples here in the chat, examples of cybercrime. I'll give you guys 2 minutes to think about that and then put your answers here in the chat. Cassis was so saying ransomware attacks. Yes, that is a good example. Thank you, Svusiso. Others? Any examples of cyber crimes? We spoke about phishing. There is also data breaches where someone access sensitive customer or employee information that can lead to reputational damage or business data. So that is a data breach if someone hacks into the management information system and steals company data. That is also a form of cybercrime. So that is called a data breach. Then we have malware, which is malicious software, often comes as an email attachment or a download. If you go to a website and ask you to download something, Usually, um, the malware infects your device, and then your information is then compromised or stolen. Other examples, there is also theft of intellectual property. So that does not only happen online. So any intellectual property, it can be stolen. It could be confidential business strategies being stolen by hackers or competitors. So that is also a form of cybercrime, theft of intellectual property. So those are some of the examples. We also have insider threats where a person who works within the organization, an employee or a contractor, misuse their access to steal data or to sabotage systems. So we have probably heard of a few cases in South Africa where employees of a bank use their access to to steal money or direct funds into their accounts or accounts of their relatives. So that is misuse of their access. They had access to the system, but now they are using that access to steal from the company. So that is an insider threat. So that is why it is very important when designing information systems to make sure that there is access control, that only authorized users have got access to certain information, and also to make sure that there is the necessary approvals for um, certain transactions, that not only one individual has got the right to approve certain transactions. There must be a workflow built in to ensure that we avoid insider threats. So if there are 2 or 3 people who must approve a payment before it goes through, then that is a form of protection so that we can um, counter the insider threat. But human beings are very clever. They always find a way to get around systems. But those are some of the examples of cyber crimes. There is more in your book. If you go to the MIS book from this is chapter 4 in the MIS book, then you can see more examples there. Okay. Some more risks associated with information technologies, computer crime and fraud, unauthorized use of computer data for personal gain. We have talked about social media. So social networking sites are used for committing computer crime. So there are many examples or many instances where we've heard of people being scammed on Facebook Marketplace, on Gumtree, sites like that. So criminals are also using the social networking sites for personal gain. It could be identity theft. Someone steals your identity. Software piracy. They can also pirate software um, using the social networking sites, distribution of child pornography, email spamming, writing or spreading viruses, worms, Trojan programs, and other malicious code. That is the malware we spoke about earlier, stealing files or computer
where
records. Sorry, Lindy, I'm going to mute you. Okay. So these are all examples of computer crime and fraud, and company insiders commit most computer crimes. I spoke about that earlier and gave an example about the bank employees who directed funds to their own accounts, and that is an insider threat. So there is always concerns about privacy in the workplace where employers search social networking sites to see what employees are doing and have employee monitoring systems. So if you are on a company network, they have the right to monitor what you're doing online, to make sure that you are not misusing the company resources or you are not putting the company data at risk. Some companies actually block social networking sites so that no one can access them from the company network. Misuse and abuse of information gathered by healthcare organizations, financial institutions, legal firms, databases with personal information. So this happens a lot in South Africa. I'm sure you have all received calls from people trying to sell you something like these telemarketing companies that we don't know where they get the data from, but they have databases with personal information of people. Then they will call you to try to sell you insurance or some cell phone contract or things like that. That is a typical example of misuse and abuse of information. It could be maybe at some point in your life many years ago you opened an account with a certain bank or you were a customer of a certain network provider. Then the telemarketing company got hold of your information. Now they use it to spam call people. These days, most of the time it's even automated. It is robots that are now doing the calls. I forgot the term, what it is called, but there is a term for it. If someone knows, please just put it in the chat. So that is an example of misuse and abuse of information. So defining privacy is difficult, and information technologies have increased the ease of access to information. That is the good thing, but there is also the bad side of information technology. So that is why we need to protect ourselves. Then still on privacy and data protection, email presents some serious privacy issues. I've spoken about spam emails, which is unsolicited email sent for advertising purposes. Usually it is just sent in bulk by using automated mailing software. Ease of access, people should assume that others could have access to their messages. So uh, before you post anything online, pause and think uh, how this um, would work if someone has access to your messages. Any email sent on company-owned computers are the property of the organization. So that is some important points that you need to know. Data collection on the internet. The number of people shopping online is increasing. I think 2 weeks ago, I gave an example of an order processing flow that is typically used for e-commerce websites. So this tells us that the number of online shopping is increasing. These days, we even buy groceries online. But that also means that our personal data is available to anyone who can access it. So that is why we need to limit personal data that we share online. Although there are still some customers who are reluctant to make online purchases, who are concerned about hackers getting access of the credit card information, but many credit card companies do reimburse fraudulent charges. So it is up to you as a user to protect yourself, to make sure that the site that you are buying from is secure and that um, your credit card information is protected. I think the banks have put in a lot of measures in place that you can be able to shop safely online without putting yourself at risk. And I know one of the things that you can use is the virtual card, which changes, I think it changes every hour. That way you are protecting yourself because it is valid just for that time when you are making the purchase. So there are also other electronic payment systems that are available out there that you can use to make sure that you are protected when you are making payments online. There is SnapScan, there is Zappa, and lots of others. Google Wallet. Um, what else is there? I think there's also Samsung Pay. All of those are secure ways to make payment online so that your money is safe. So users are also concerned about the content of their computers being searched while they are connected to the internet. I spoke about avoiding public Wi-Fi. That is the first thing that you should do, that you must avoid using public Wi-Fi. We know that data is expensive in South Africa, and whenever you get a chance to access free Wi-Fi, we jump at the chance, but it is not a safe option. So it's better to avoid public Wi-Fi. If you can, then data that is collected on the internet must be used and interpreted with caution. So you must always verify the data that you are collecting on the internet to make sure that it is valid. Are there any questions up to here or comments? Okay, then some review questions. I'll read the questions and then you can just put your answers in the chat. This is just for us to practice so that you know how they will ask questions in the exams. So question 1, which of the following is a small text file that a web server stores on a user's hard drive? Is it option 1, worm, option 2, spike, option 3, cookie, option 4, payload? I see 5 people are saying it's option 3. So which of the following is a small text file that a web server stores on a user's hard drive? 3, it's a cookie. So cookie is the correct answer here, because remember we said a cookie is a file that is stored on the hard drive, on the user's hard drive. So option 3 is the answer there. Yes, cookies are small text files that are stored on your device when you visit them. They are used to remember information about you and interaction with the site. Question 2, e-wallets and smart cards increase the risks of exposing consumers' information on the web. Is it true or false? Sibusiso says false. Okay, why do you say it is false? I see most of you are saying it's false. Why do you say it is false? So just think about it. Sending an e-wallet to someone. No, not that. Using Google Wallet to make payment. You are storing your credit card details on that Google Wallet, for example, that is your personal information. So does it not put you at risk? So Tapelo says you don't use personal information. So maybe Tapelo, you can explain for us a bit why you think this is false? Anyone else wants to explain why you think Itumele?
Good afternoon, everyone.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. On the issue of e-wallets, when you do send an e-wallet, you just use your cell numbers. You don't use your card details like card number and CV, something like that at the back of your card. So that one I believe it's false and not true.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, I hear what you're saying. So you are referring to e-wallet as in you're sending someone money on your banking app just to their cell phone number. In that, yeah, when you using that example, then we can say yes, um, you are not putting yourself at risk. But there is also the other e-wallet that um, stores information. So yes, I agree. Tapelo also was saying that you don't use personal information. So when you're sending someone e-wallet, it doesn't contain any personal information. But I'm just trying to see what it says in your book. So electronic payment systems such as e-wallets and smart cards reduce the risk of exposing consumers' information on the web. Okay. So I have not used things like Samsung Pay or Google Pay. Those are also called e-wallets, but it's different from the e-wallet that we're talking about when you're sending someone money. Okay, so I understand why you're saying it is false. And then Sibusiso is saying for smart card, it is a risk. So you're saying for smart card is true? Sibusiso? Oh, I see Emma Tala, your hand is up. You can go ahead.
Evening, everyone. Ma'am, I just wanted to ask, right, with this type
Mm.
of question, because I do understand that the e-wallet that we're talking about here is electronic wallets, right, that we might
Yeah.
have on the web. So I just need to understand, should a question like this arise in the exam, should we treat it that way, as opposed to the normal conventional or the commercial e-wallets that we're used to? Just for clarity.
Yeah. So you must always refer back to your textbook.
Okay.
What is your textbook referring to when they speak about e-wallets? I see in, I think it's section 441B or 41C where it talks about e-wallets. In this case, they are referring to the things like Google Wallet. That's what they are referring to, not the e-wallet that we use to send someone money from the banking apps.
No, thank
So
you so
when
much.
you get a question like that, you must always um, refer to what is in your textbook.
Noted. It definitely would have got me in the exam, so thank you for the clarity.
Okay, you're welcome. Anyone else want to comment on this topic? Okay. Then the next one. Yes, Itumeleng. So here the answer is true. Okay, I'll move to the next one. In the context of the common intentional security threats, which statement best describes a worm? Option 1, it floods a network or server with service requests to prevent legitimate users access to the system. Or 2, it attaches itself to a host program to spread to other files in a computer. Option 3, it travels from computer to computer in a network, but it does not usually erase the data. Okay, I'm seeing 2s and 1, 3. Hmm. 2, we are saying a worm attaches itself to a host program to spread to other files in a computer. Yes, Wuso is saying 3. I agree with you, Wusiso. It travels from computer to computer in a network, but does not usually erase the data. So you can find that in your book in section 5 point, it's 5.3. They're describing a worm. So they're saying a worm travels from computer to computer in a network, but it does not usually erase data. Unlike viruses, worms are independent programs that can spread themselves without having to be attached to a host program. So the correct answer here is 3. Do you guys agree? Are we good on that one? Okay, thank you for the thumbs up. Then question 4. The following table shows a grid that can be used for assessing whether an action is legal and or ethical. So you can just look at the table Then the question is, where would the following situation fall in the above table? So the situation is a credit card company sells its customers' mailing addresses to its competitors. Where does this fall? Is it legal or illegal? Is it ethical, unethical? Which quadrant does this situation fall in? A credit card company sells its customers' mailing addresses to its competitors. Okay, I see you saying quadrant 4. Quadrant 4 means a credit card company sells its customers' mailing addresses to its competitors is illegal and unethical. That is what quadrant 4 means. Yes, Emma Tala, your hand is up. Please go ahead.
I just wanted to find out, in the case where service providers, for example, it's a clothing store and they have an account and they tried retrieving the person, like literally the customers just to pay, and they haven't. At some point, there's just been information that's been circulating on social media that they can sell to collectors, to debt collectors, right? So they sell it at a lesser price and then they just wash their hands off. So I just wanted to know if this is a similar case. Is this like the question and what I'm asking more or less the same? Or can
Okay,
they?
so it depends on the agreement that you as the customer signed with the credit provider. So usually when you sign a contract, there will be a clause to say if you fail to make payment on the account for 2 months or 3 months, whatever, then they will hand the account over to debt collectors. So that is not illegal. That is legal because you agreed to it as the consumer when you signed the agreement. But in this case, a credit card company is selling the mailing addresses of customers to competitors. This is illegal because it is like giving a third party customer information. So let's say it is Discovery Bank, for example, is the credit card company, and they have a competitor, Capitec Bank. Then they sell that data to Capitec Bank. That is illegal and it is unethical. So the issue of debt collection is legal because as a consumer, you signed an agreement to make payment, but you have failed to make payment for X number of months, then that company has the right to hand you over to debt collectors to get their money back. But in this situation, the credit card company sells customer data, so that is unethical and it is legal. So here the answer is option 4. Okay, I hope that clarifies your question.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay, great. Then next, I think this is our last question. Which of the following is an advantage of virtual organizations? The time needed to develop new product is increased. Companies can respond to customers faster and more efficiently. Or products can be customized more to respond to customers' needs. Or option 4, each participating company can focus on what it does best, thus improving the ability to meet customers' needs. Which one of these is an advantage of virtual organizations? Any guess? You can take a guess. Seeing that we are talking about cybercrime, advantages of virtual organizations. Mm. Yeah, this question is a bit confusing. Which one is an advantage? So option 2, companies can respond to customers faster and more efficiently. That is correct. The time needed to develop new products is increased. Products can be customized more. Each participating company can focus on what it does best. That's improving to meet customers' needs. So on this one, I'm leaning towards 2. Companies can respond to customers faster and more efficiently. However, I think there is more than one answer here. They should have given us an option maybe to select more answers. So Tapelo is saying virtual organization motto is to please its customer by delivering what the customer wants. Yes. So this option 3, products can be customized more to respond to customer needs. And option 4, each participating company focus on what it does best, thus improving the ability to meet the customer needs. So that is why I'm saying there's more than one answer that is applicable here. So we can say 2, 3, and 4 are applicable to this question, so we need to go and verify what is the book saying about advantages of virtual organizations. But you are right, Tapelo, that the main idea is to satisfy the needs of the customer. I don't know where that is, but it should be somewhere in your book. We want to find the advantages. Advantages. I cannot find it. I'm just doing a quick search on the MIS book. I cannot find advantages of virtual organizations. So this is those type of questions where you need to demonstrate that you understand the meaning of virtual organizations and how technology enables virtual organizations. Then you can be able to select the right answer. So based on the definition that they gave us, we know that the virtual organization is focused on delivering customer needs. So the three options, 2, 3, 4, are related. So that is what I would choose. In a case like this, if you only have to select one, then you choose the one that is most appropriate. Because there is more than one answer and they didn't give an option to select all the above or 3 options. So you will select the one that is the most appropriate. Okay. Do you guys have any questions up to here? Or comments? Okay, then the next topic is the General Data Protection Regulation, or the GDPR. It is a data protection and privacy law that was implemented by the European Union in May 2018. The aim for this regulation is to protect the privacy of personal data of individuals within the EU and regulates the processing and transfer of personal data by organizations. Non-compliance with the GDPR can result in significant fines for organizations, and it's important to note that it is a complex regulation and organizations should seek legal advice to make sure that they comply with the GDPR regulation. So there is a lot of detail about the GDPR, but I think you just need to understand the scope of the regulation and how it is applied. So it applies to all organizations that process personal data of individuals resulting in the EU, regardless of whether the organization is based in Europe or outside. And it applies to both data controllers and data processors. So that is the scope and the applicability. consent and lawful basis. So this regulation requires organizations to obtain consent from individuals for processing their personal data. It sets stricter standards for consent, emphasizing the need for clear and unambiguous consent. So in South Africa, we have the POPI Act, which is similar to this GDPR, but in South Africa, that one is specific to South Africa. You need to give consent to sharing your personal information. So the POPI Act is applicable in South Africa to protect individuals against this sharing of personal information. So all companies, all organizations and non-profit organizations must comply with the POPI Act. It's spelled POPIA, and it is similar to this GDPR. The difference is that GDPR is applicable in the European Union. That is what it says in your textbook. They don't talk about the POPI Act, but it's useful to know that it is applicable in South Africa. And if you have completed any forms in the past 2 or 3 years, you will notice that you must always give consent to say you agree or you don't agree to your personal information being shared and things like that. So it applies to access to your personal information or correction of that information, who can share your information. So this forces organizations to be accountable and use the information only for what it is specified for. So if you applied for, let's say, car insurance, you completed your personal information on the website to get a quote for car insurance. The company cannot use that information for something else which you did not apply for. So you applied for car insurance, they can't now use that information for their sister company to offer you medical aid, for example. So that is where the POPI Act protects us as consumers in South Africa. But yes, the GDPR, you only need to know the high-level detail of what it is and where it is applicable. And yeah, you don't need to go through it in details. You only need to know the high level, the scope and applicability, the rights of individuals, and also that there are penalties if organizations don't comply with the regulation. So yeah, it gives individuals rights to control their personal data, who can access their data, and that you as the individual, you have access to your own data if you want to rectify the data, for example, if you maybe want to change your phone number, you would have noticed that most organizations now have a self-service site where you can go and update your phone number, your address, or whatever. So that is your right as the individual. In some organizations, there is a person appointed as a data protection officer. Their role is to oversee data protection activities and ensure compliance with the GDPR, especially in organizations that operate in multiple countries. This is an important role to make sure that they are complying with the GDPR and also with other regulations to be able to trade internationally. So yes, that is the function of the data protection officer. Then we also have data breach notification requirements. If there was a data breach in an organization, then the organization must notify the relevant authority uh, within 72 hours. So this is important to comply with, that if there was a data breach, it needs to be reported. Accountability and privacy. Organizations must comply with the regulation and they must adopt privacy by design, meaning that organizations should implement privacy and data protection measures from inception of systems and processes. So when we are designing management information systems, we need to make sure that data privacy is taken into account in the design. So I mentioned earlier the issue of user authorization, that we need to make sure that only people in certain roles have got access to certain information. You cannot have someone who is a cashier have access to the company's income statements and balance sheet as an example. So this relates to segregation of duties, the person's role in the organization. So when we design management information system, people need to only get access to information that they need to perform their jobs, not anything more, so that the data is protected. Then we also have cross-border transfers. So this regulation imposes restriction on transfer of personal data outside the EU to ensure adequate level of protection. I don't know how this is implemented, but yeah, you can go look that up. And then if you need more information, you can also go read up on the POPI Act that is used in South Africa. Okay, we will end there for today. Do you guys have questions or comments? Any questions or comments? Okay, thank you for the thumbs up. My email address is there. If you need to contact me, should you need any assistance with your first year information systems modules or the computer science modules, you can just pop me an email. Then I will book time with you on Teams. Okay, last thing that I want you guys to do, please complete the evaluation form. I'm putting the link here in the chat. Just for us to review the sessions, we have to do this every day. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing while you guys complete the evaluation form. Last week, I know someone was asking about the recordings. So the recordings are not yet uploaded on the YouTube playlist. But I will follow up with the technical team. Yes, Sibusiso is saying don't forget the slides. I won't forget. Usually after the session, I share the link on this chat so you can be able to access the slides. Then I will let you know once all the recordings are uploaded on the playlist, then you can also be able to access the recordings. Okay, thank you everyone.